Awesome. All right, ladies, thanks for renaming yourself. Oh, we even have Nicole's from London today. Awesome. We've got Italy, Miami, all sorts of amazing places. Thank you, ladies, for doing that, and welcome. So without further ado, we're going to introduce our special guest, our spotlight speaker today. And to do that, I'm going to turn it over to our fellow board member at the collective, Nicole. Nicole, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Holly. So, Jalou, I'm very sure that everybody knows you already, but let me try to give this a good introduction. So personally, I'm super excited to have you on board, and I'm very happy that you had the time available to join us here and to have this speech. So where to start? A very famous kite surfer in various disciplines like waves, foil, you seem to be doing it all. And you have been 3 times a world champion. Incredible. You grew up in the Netherlands, started kiting when you were 12 years old, and became, just as your older brother, Kevin Langeree, completely psyched about the sport. And I guess you pushed each other to become better and better. Lucky you for spending your winters mostly in South Africa instead of the cold in the Netherlands. And you seem to enjoy all kinds of outdoor and extreme sports, and you seem to be also regularly riding a bike. You like a good challenge, very determined, training relentlessly, and that makes you absolutely a great competitor. And our Dutch audience here may also know you from the reality show that you participated in. So that's the Robinson Island. It was nice to see. You want to inspire other women and get more women out in the water. And one of your quotes has been that you get a kick out of if you can other women to move their bodies. So I'm really looking forward to your speech and to hear more from you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Can you all hear me?
Yes, yes. Welcome, Jalou. And I'm going to just ask the audience if you'll put yourself on mute while Jalou is speaking, just so we can hear her and the recording is good. We'd appreciate it. We'll have some Q&A after her talk, so you can chat with her live. Thanks, Jalou. Go ahead.
Cool. Thank you so much, and thanks for having me on this chat today. Well, yeah, where to start? I got so much to share with you girls, so I kind of had to pick some subjects I was going to talk about. But the first things I would like to chat to you two is about these things I've learned over 20 years of kiting. Try to always remember why you started kiting in the first place. So why do you love kiting? Sometimes kind of hard when you can kind of lose it sometimes when you have a bad crash or a bad session, but always go back to that first spark that kiting gives you. That was a very important one for me over those 20 years. Secondly, always keep challenging yourself, but in a kind way. So always be careful and don't push it to a limit where you start hating kiting, which I also experienced. Another thing is don't compare yourself to anybody else. So just keep doing you, which is also a very important one. And that's something I've learned throughout the years of kiting. And yeah, it took me some hard falls to learn that lesson. So why did I actually started kiting in the first place? Well, I've been doing many sports when I was a little girl. I tried team sports like field hockey. I've been playing tennis, I've been dancing, but none of those sports really caught my attention. I was really that girl that was always seeking for adrenaline. And as Nicole was saying, I have an older brother who was also in the kite industry and is running his own business. And yeah, I used to see him on the beach with his friends and flying kites, and I would just kind of rock up and see what the guys were doing. And they were jumping from the dunes and were using these buggies where they used the kite to race over the beach. And all that I saw was just that I thought, whoa, this is what I want to do as well. And they were so kind to always take me along and teach me the basics of kiting. And as soon as I made my first meters on the ocean, I was completely hooked to the sport. And that's all I did in my free hours. And that was pretty much with a lot of the water sports that came across. Like I started wakeboarding for the first time around the age of 10, 12 years old. And also surfing was a big thing for me. So everything close to the ocean. And I've been so lucky that I can just jump on my bike and be at the beach in like 5 minutes. We have like a beautiful surf club where there's a community. So it was very easy, accessible for me as well. But the other thing is that I also kind of grew up in such a male-dominated industry And even on the surf club, it was mostly guys. There was not really any girls from my age kiting. So the boys were my role model. And yeah, as I saw my brother walking that road towards becoming a pro kite surfer, I just wanted the same. And I also started competing. I did my first nationals when I was probably like 13. And I also won that standing beside two really big girls, where I was like this tiny little girl. And yeah, I also started competing in some more nationals and more international contests. And yeah, I kind of just loved everything about it, but I never had the focus that it was going to be my main job. I just liked it as a hobby, but things kind of moved quickly. I finished high school, and that's when I started really being on the pro circuit. So I started competing on the world tour, where I did freestyle for a long time, and I liked it, and I had some great results, but I was never very consistent. And I kind of figured out for myself that I was um, having to push myself so much, and which went easily, but I didn't progress so well, because we would always go to these spots like Cape Town for freestyle. For the people that know Cape Town, I heard there was one girl from Cape Town in the audience, but it's just not very fun to learn freestyle. So I had a hard beating, and I had to learn the hard way. And at one point, I also found out that I kind of really felt that I was more following the footsteps of my brother than following my own footsteps. It was very comfortable at the time, because I was kind of insecure when I was a bit younger. And yeah, when we were traveling, and my brother was kind of the big brother taking his little sister under the wing. And I did really need it back then. And also with my first sponsors, he would always be like, oh, but I have a little sister, and she's also very good in kiting. Maybe you should sponsor her too. So that's kind of how I got my first sponsors as well, which I'm very thankful for. But at one point, I also felt like, hey, I need to stand my own ground. I know I'm the sister of, but I also want to be my own identity. So at one point, I was done with the whole freestyle game, and I was a little bit lost in between, like, okay, so what am I going to do? And am I just going to free ride, or what is it, what I really want to do? And also what I wanted to say, like, why I'm also so competitive and result driven, because that's how it all started for us in kiting. We didn't have social media where you can promote yourself and make yourself look like you're the best kiter in the world. We had to get there by having those good results. So at one point, I kind of switched over to wave riding, and that's where for me a whole new world opened up. That's where I refound the passion I have for kiteboarding. And I was pretty harsh on myself. I was like, okay, cool, I'm going to do this new discipline. I am hungry to get some serious results on the table. So I'm going to travel for 1 year, and then I'm going to compete on the World Tour in 2012 with the mission to be on that podium on the end of the season. So I traveled the world, tried to ride as many different waves as possible just to gain the experience. And then I started competing, and I did manage to win a world title on the age of 21. And I was crowned in Maui without the support of my brother, and my parents weren't there. Of course, they were watching the live streaming, but for me, that was really like a point of, yeah, I don't know, also becoming a bit more mature. I did it all by myself. I went to all the trainings and kind of did it all on my own, which felt very good. And as soon as I came back to the Netherlands, I was expecting a very big welcome, because that's what I've seen when my brother became world champion. He came back to Holland, and the airport was packed with media. His sponsor O'Neill did a very big welcoming celebration on the headquarters, and there was a golden limousine, and there was champagne, and there was party. So I was like, okay, woo, I'm going home. We're gonna be a big party. And then I came at the arrivals, and there was just 4 people and my mom standing there, and I was like, wow, why is there such a big difference? That's when I started realizing, like, is there 2 little girls? Do sponsors don't really know how to work with female athletes, or what is the thing? So I kind of didn't really celebrate my winnings for a long time. So I kind of put my head down. I was like, okay, I just need to get better and win more world titles. And that's what I did. I won another one in 2015 and one in 2018. But it was all like for just pushing myself just to try and get the same um, uh, reward as my brother was getting. I was just craving that same thing because he was the person that's always been standing so close to me, and I've seen the contracts he's been signing. I've seen all his success, and it was just right in my face. And I was just trying so hard. I was writing articles, making vlogs, trying to win all the contests that I could possibly win. And still, there wasn't really anything happening. And I was like, what else do I have to do? And then at one point I was just thinking, hey, why don't I try to make some more cool content, which is purely focused on women. So I called two of my girlfriends, that was Olivia and Katerina, and I set up a boat trip in Madagascar to sail around the southwest coast for 2 weeks with a photographer and a filmer, just to make a kick-ass film out of it. Maybe some of you have already seen it. If not, have a look at Vimeo. You can find it. You can find it all over the web. It's called 118 Feet of Freedom. And yeah, that was one of the best trips I've ever done because it was just so natural. There are girls that are good in wave riding, and normally you just see the guys going on a trip like that. And I was just missing that pureness. I don't want to sell sex throughout kiting. I want to sell why we kite, why we have that joy in kiting. And I have to say, still see it too often where I don't want to go too deep onto the subject, but I find it very hard to see women grow in the industry by showing off what the body has to show, but not about kiting the skill, passing on a passion. And that's something what I found very difficult back then. What I also started doing was setting up camps just for girls. On the end of this talk, Holly will show a slide with some of the camps I'm going to be doing. I'm focusing on just women because I just like the whole, it's a different vibe when you're just with women. There's also with men who are trying to kind of show off, and girls kind of feel maybe a little bit more intimidated by the show off of the men. And yeah, just by seeing a coaching time of like 5 days, how much girls already improve and how they feel comfortable with just you being there and giving them those tips. And sometimes just the smallest tips can already make it such a big change. What I love about kiting, and especially now after 20 years of kiting, I'm very happy to be able to pass on the knowledge I have, because all I want to do is have, or what I want to see is have more girls on the water so we can celebrate what women kiteboarding is all about. And I'm sometimes just like, oh, you're just missing out if you're not kiting. Just that feeling what kiting brings me still today after 20 years, even though it's a job, I still can feel very fulfilled when I'm on the water, kind of washing off the day and being with the elements. That's definitely something that, that I feel in my heart and what always will stay. But yeah, as you can hear, it's been kind of like a busy life from when I started kiting to becoming 3 times world champion, creating all this content for female. I was also on such a high because I just made a career switch. I started riding for Nord Kiteboarding after a very long career riding for Nash. But there was also a break back then. Corona came around the corner. I had a back injury, and I kind of felt all those years of living on such a quick pace, so much living in a male energy and wanting to perform and wanting to compare myself to the guys just to be better and feel good. But I never felt those 3 times world champion. And that's something within me, but I never felt it was enough. People could say, oh, Lou, it's so good what you're doing, but it just didn't hit me at one point. And I was just traveling to one tropical beach to the other, and I didn't see it at one point anymore. I was just lost in, hey, but what is it, what I'm doing? And Corona really pulled for me on that handbrake where I was, where I was forced just to sit at home and actually reflect on what I've been going through over the past 20 years and what I still want to do in this sport. And who is Jalou without a kite? And that is something that I really had to dig deep to kind of refine myself in what I wanted to do, because I, coming from a sport where I was just comparing myself to Kevin, I didn't check in with myself. Hey, how do I actually feel? What is going? How do I feel emotionally? And I actually figured out that I'm super sensitive, that I'm super, I don't know, yeah, sensitive, and that I need time on my own. And I've been figuring out all these things about myself, which I've ignored for 20 years because I was just so focused and I would just do whatever people expected me to do and be that person that people think I am, that powerful woman that is there and she's like always going for it. But I actually had like quite a big mental breakdown from all of it. And I think that also maybe has something to do with the age. I'm turning 32 on the end of this month, kind of questioning myself, okay, what else is there out there for me to do in this sport, in this world? Am I keep pushing female kiting, what I'm sure I'm going to keep doing? So yeah, I've been on a bit of a journey, and all of this I'm busy with making a documentary what is about this subject I'm talking about right now, which I think is very important to share. And it's not just for athletes, but it's for everybody. And I truly hope it can help and inspire other people to more often look at themselves and check, hey, how do I actually feel? Why am I doing what I'm doing? Is it just because of the money, or is it truly making me happy? And I know kiting has made me happy and still makes me happy, but it's just in the way I um, I approach the sport, and that's for me a very big learning curve. And that's why today I have a bit of a red cheeks, because I went kiting in icy water today, and I was on a 4 meter and I was out there, and then still I feel that love and that joy that I carry for kiting. And yeah, and I hope it will stay with me for a very long time, because yeah, it means a lot to me, kiting. And I hope for you girls as well, and that you will push out the stoke you have for kiting, bring your girlfriends to the beach, so we can grow the sport together. So with that being said, I like to end my talk, and I'm wondering if you girls have any questions for me, or if you're interested in joining one of my camps that I'm going to be doing in Fuerteventura. I'm going to be doing one there in May, which is in about a month. And I have another camp, which will be in Sweden in June. And that's a combination camp which includes biking and kiting, because as Nicole said as well, I'm also a very big fan of biking. I think it's a great sport when it's not windy. So I thought, hey, how cool would it be if we add a little bit of biking and some kiting to get a bigger audience? So if you're interested and wanting to come to Europe, to Sweden, you should check it out. You can have a look also on my Instagram. That's where I promote the camps. So yeah, I think that's about it.
Thank you, Jalou. Let's give her some applause, either virtually or physically. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for sharing your life story and your kite story. And I just want to remind you ladies that she really talked about three things. She talked about remembering why you started kite surfing in the first place. And I love how, Jalou, you talked about, with the pandemic, that it forced you to reflect and to think, why am I doing this? Is it joyful? And to also keep challenging yourself, but be kind to yourself. That was a second thing you mentioned. And don't compare yourself with anyone else, the brother or, the boys. It was funny. I was actually out yesterday. It was a low wind day, and we went out on a boat with an e-foil, and it was me and 4 guys, and I was learning. And it was so fun, the fact that after I tried and everybody else tried the e-foil, we got back in the boat and the guys go, "You were better than all the guys." And I was like, whoop, whoop, one for the girls. So, I know that feeling you're talking about when you were younger and you had your brother as a role model. And I had 3 brothers. And I think when you have brothers or men around you in an extreme sport like kite surfing, it really does push you to be better, right? To show, like a girl, we can do this amazing thing like you can. And you've proven it for 20 years, and you started
Yeah.
so young. And at 21, you won your first championship, right?
Yeah.
So, congratulations, and thanks for being such a great role model for us as women kiters and inspiring us with your story. We really appreciate it. So with that, I want to
You're
open it
welcome.
up. Yeah, I'd like to open it up to discussion, and then I'll show some of the details you mentioned about your kite camps before we end today. I'll show you the visuals of that so you can see the dates and the key information Jalou mentioned. But first, let's open it up for questions or discussion with Jalou while we have her. Who has the first comment or question?
I saw something popping up about how icy the water was. Well, I don't know where you're from, but the water wasn't that icy, but it was about 8 degrees. But it's usually the wind that makes it kind of cold. So, and I've been spending my whole winter in the Netherlands, so we had a lot colder than it was today. But yeah, you can feel coming from outside, going inside, I can feel the glow from the cold water.
Yeah, that was Jennifer from Texas. It's not that cold there, right, Jennifer? And then Sue from Cape Town. What motivates you to get out in the cold conditions, and what gear would you not go without in winter kiting? What's your favorite gear for that?
Well, I have to be honest, this was my first winter in Holland. I didn't travel the whole winter because I also felt like I just had to spend one winter just at home. And I have to say, I loved it. Like, it's so nice. It's quiet on the beach, quiet on the water. Um, there is good conditions, way better waves than we have in the summer. We really we need those depression and winter swells, and those come when it's wintertime in Holland and not in summertime. And as soon as you suit up properly, it is more than fine to be out on the water. And yeah, I would always wear a hood, like a hood, gloves, and booties, the whole pack for sure.
Right. Thank you. And I'm just going to have you ladies unmute yourself, and just for some conversation. Frances, your question, go ahead.
So what's the most intimidating wave you have taken, and why?
Oh, good question. I think that is Mauritius. I remember the first time going to Mauritius, and I was so intimidated by One Eye. It's insane. It was a big day, and I had to compete there, and that was that first year of mine on tour, and I've never seen a wave like that in my life. First of all, it's pretty far out. There's a reef. You need to go through the channel to go out. And it was so big that I was at once like in between two massive bumps that I couldn't even see the beach and I couldn't see the horizon. I was like, oh my God. And I have to pick the wave and then wait for it to break onto the reef. And I was just like, oh my God. I don't know if you have seen movies from One Eye, but it's just one big long wall and it's just like a racetrack. So once you're on it, you can barely escape it. You just have to, you just have to go for it. So that was definitely one of the most intimidating waves for me. And it still is though. Like, I haven't been there for a while now, and I know if it's a big day and I need to go out there, my knees are probably still or will be shaking again.
And then on the more pleasant side, what is your favorite wave spot?
Well, I went to Madagascar, and that was insane. There was one session in that movie, what I talked about, 118 feet of freedom. There's a wave there. It's kind of hard to get to, but it was literally the best wave I've ever kited. It was just all the waves that I could take. That would be the same amount of waves I would take a whole year. Like, just one session there covers a whole year of riding different waves. That's how good it was.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Anybody else? I have one for you, Jalou, while the others are thinking. What have you learned about yourself based on your years of competing and winning as a kite surfer? What have you learned about yourself in terms of your own character or traits or personality?
That I can do stuff in a more kindful way towards myself. But you don't always have to go into the red zone to achieve goals. You can also just, put a little seed, give it some water and leave it for a little bit instead of watering, so it's almost like drowning. I feel like I've been in that red zone way too much to achieve what I achieved. And sometimes I think it would have been good to take a step back, to reflect, to take breaks. And that's something I'm doing a lot these days, taking breaks, and I'm just feel a lot more human by doing that.
So it sounds a little bit like balance, push yourself for your goals, but step back, reflect, and rest, and have that balance.
Exactly.
And isn't
Also
that
to
the
keep
truth?
things fun. Yeah.
Keep it fun.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Looks like, is it Heine or Heine from
Hein. I think it's Hein.
Hein?
Hein.
Yes, go ahead. Unmute yourself, please. I see a question in the chat.
From locally.
Hein.
Just a question. Which trick, I already sent it in the chat as well. Which trick would you recommend to learn first?
On a twin tip?
Yeah.
Can you already jump?
Not
Straight
really.
jump?
Just a little bit. So that's
Okay.
this year. That is the season where I want to try tricks for jumping and that, but I don't know where to start.
I think, first of all, I think it's good to get very comfortable on just going back and forward, and then starting to jump. Just a clean straight jump. That's the easiest to start with.
Yeah.
And as soon as you control the jumping, you can also try and start doing a back roll. And I don't know, do you ride on the ocean mostly, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And then you can also just start doing a back roll where you use a little chop, and you can just keep your kite just at like 1 o'clock or something. And then just keep your hands very close together, so not too wide, because then it's very easy to steer. Keep them very close. Keep them on one position. Look at the chop. Put a little bit of pressure on your back leg so the tip comes up on the front. And then all you're going to do, you're going to use the chop. You're going to feel that you're lifting. And all you're going to do is you're going to look over your shoulder, and you're going to keep looking until you do a full 360. And then you land it out again, which is also a pretty easy trick as long as you keep looking. Don't go halfway and look back, because then you're going to be landing on your back.
Yeah, because if I jump, it's because of the waves. So it's not something I control. It's just because I'm going through the waves. And my landing is okay. My landing is okay. It's just like I want to learn now really tricks and jumps, but I don't know where to start.
Yeah, then I suggest you to start just with a straight jump by not using the wave, but
and then afterwards
the
back roll.
Exactly. So first straight jumps by using the kite, so you know what the kite does. So you're kiting, you know the steps while when you're jumping. Yeah, okay. And really make sure you edge properly, and that's when you send your kite over, and then you get that lift. And once you go just before the landing, you steer it back, not too early, because then you come out with a lot of speed. Just trying to find the timing right, and don't try to go bigger and bigger and bigger, and then slowly you can start trying the back roll and trying some grabs, so you know the feeling when you're in the air with one hand on the bar. You can also start doing a tail grab, and you can slowly make it bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Success.
Great tips. I'm actually at that point of learning a back roll too, so that's very helpful. Thank you.
Oh, nice.
Good.
I have a thought, comment, question. Firstly, I wanted to say I'll be in Fuerteventura next month, so I definitely want to check out your camp information. That sounds super exciting.
Awesome.
For me, I felt like when I first started, every time I go out, it was just the way I helped not feel those feelings of comparison was just wanting myself to get a little bit better each time, the progression. And I feel like where I'm at now, it's this feeling of plateauing, getting to a point where I'm not seeing that progression. And so I was just wondering if like you felt those feelings as well, and like the things that you do to like combat them, you know, just like the feeling of the plateau.
Yeah, I definitely feel that plateau. I definitely know what you're talking about. And that's the thing, that it's sometimes nice to ride with some people that are maybe similar levels. So you can kind of push each other a little bit. And also trying to reflect, hey, why am I on the plateau? Am I not trying anymore? Am I just comfortable with cruising back and forth? Um, that's also a thing. And at one point, I know when you're starting to do more radical tricks, there's also more crashing involved, which you're maybe in some days you don't really feel like hitting the water very hard. So you're like, oh, I'm just gonna stay in the same safe zone. But yeah, try to, if you feel good, try and already have the trick in the head before you even head out. So you have a little mission when you go on the water. Even go on the web and look at the how to, I don't know what you want to learn, but let's say a 1-footer, and just go through it and visualize. And then once you go out, it's going to help you so much. And then you're going to start finding that flow and that fun of learning new stuff. And that's when you're going to lift off that plateau.
Thank you. Good tips. And thanks, Destiny from San Juan, Puerto Rico. All right. Other thoughts?
Thank you so much for sharing your story. I think it was very personal and very authentic. So appreciate that you even like joined such rounds. I was wondering like about growing like the Kite Girls community. How do you balance the different activities of finding your own time on the water, but also helping out friends who might want to get into the sport? Like any good recommendation how to find a good balance for that?
Well, I think you just like, if you're helping friends out that don't have much experience yet, you can kind of pick the days where the wind is very low. So you have like very light wind kite activity. So you start also on a very safe ground before you get into it. And for myself, to balance it out, I really just do the camps where I really focus on learning people to get better and more comfortable on the water. And sometimes when there's friends of mine kiting, I will just like rock up to them while they're on the water, and I'll just tell them, hey, try this and that. And or just like, I'll tell them to follow me, and they go behind you, and you can kind of show them what you're doing. Because for me, visual works the best for learning. So you do the trick, they follow you, and then you follow them, and they try. And then you can straight see, hey, this is going wrong. And you go stand next to them, hey, try this and that. So that's how you kind of move forward. But for beginner, yeah, just take the light wind days where it's too light for you to go kiting, but where it's fun for somebody who doesn't have the experience to get its first experience.
Great tips. Thanks, Jalou. Really good. And thanks, Anne from Canada, for the question. And one of the things you mentioned, Jalou, was visualizing. So not only kind of mirroring the person that you might be kiting behind, who's better than you, but visualizing kind of in your mind's eye. Is that what you're talking about? Like go over it in your head,
Exactly.
what you visualize the move or the trick to be before you try it.
Yeah, I had that a lot when I was trying to ride backside, which I think is still pretty hard to make it look very good. And I also I was struggling so much, and I had the contest coming up, and I was just so insecure about my backside. It wasn't strong enough. So I also started to kind of feel like I was watching Ben Wilson. He was also doing all these perfect videos where he really like step by step explains how to do a backside. And it was all by talking about, just think about sitting on that seat and turning your shoulders towards the wave, and then kind of moving yourself back into the wave. And I've watched that over and over and over again. And then I just started repeating that in my mind when I was going backside every time on a wave. And yeah, that's kind of how I learned. And then of course there were some other pros, guy pros that will be like, hey Lou, you should maybe try this and that. And I'll take on those tips, or my brother would give me a tip. So I was always going on people's suggestion, hey Lou, try this, and I would try and make it look better. And that's how I kind of learned. And just by putting the hours into it, you can like search on the web for everything, but in the end, you need to have hours on the water to get better. and gain the experience.
Yes, for sure. Looks like Sue has a question. Sue, go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, Jalou. Hi, the girls. Jalou, so kite surfing on a surfboard, do you use a leash and do you use straps, or when do you go with a leash? When do you go without a leash? And when would you go with straps? And when would you go out without straps? When is the differentiation and conditions for you?
Yeah, I like to use a leash when it gets a bit tricky. So when the waves are big, when there is a reef or a rock sticking out or anything like that, that's when I ride a leash.
Okay. So that you don't have to body drag to your board.
Exactly. And sometimes you can get a very gnarly situation if you don't wear a leash. For example, in One Eye in Mauritius, it's a no-go to go without a leash because the wind is pretty offshore and there's reef and your board will be washed into the lagoon and you're going to be dragged out to the ocean. So that's definitely a leash wearing spot. And then straps or no straps. I used to love riding strap. I thought it was the best thing ever because you can just put so much power and you have so much control. But while I was on tour, the trend was strapless, so I had to take them off at one point. I haven't put them back on, but I now sometimes see some guys and especially my brother riding straps, and sometimes I'm like, maybe I should put the straps back on. So for me, there's no difference if you ride straps or strapless. Of course, strapless is a lot more technical. It's a bit harder to keep the board on the feet, and the control with the kite is a lot more important when you're strapless. But with the straps, you can just hit the wave so hard, so easily, even if your level is not so high yet. So if you want to experience with riding straps or no straps, or you're just getting onto a waveboard, sometimes it could be nice to just put the front strap on. So you can have the bit of the loose feeling on the back feet, but still have the security on the front.
Yeah,
great tip. Yeah, thanks, Sue. Sue's actually going to be our speaker next month. So thanks for joining us, Sue. Yeah. And Lauren, let's see, has a question. Go ahead, Lauren.
Oh, hey guys. I really like how this has been organized, and I think it's so cool to see like these other women, who kite from around the world, like given that we're such a small population. And as well, we're both from Toronto, and it's so rare to see other women out. So I love that you've started this kind of community, and I'd love to like stay connected with you guys and you around the world. Is there any way that we can like continue, I don't know, maybe through a chat or a Facebook page? Like, is there any way to like try and stay connected?
Yeah, and Lauren, are you asking specifically with Jalou or with our women's?
Yeah, if Jalou has any suggestions or could facilitate even.
Well, I think this is a great platform, what we're calling from right now. I wouldn't know if there's another big platform for anything, but I think Women Collective is one of the bigger platforms where everybody checks in and where you can have your questions or go on kite trips, or there's even like a promo day where you can see if people are doing camps or joining other girls on holidays. Yeah, so for me, this would be, Women Collective will be the place to be, right, Holly?
That's right. Thanks, Jalou. That's right. And Lauren, I don't know if you're familiar, but Lauren just put, let's see. Yep, there's the group on Facebook in the chat. And we do have a private Facebook group that's a subgroup of our main Facebook group. So do make sure you're in that. And I'll make sure that you get into that with an invite if you don't already have it.
Cool. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Lauren,
I didn't know about it.
Yeah. And I believe you'll see the groups there in the chat as well. Yeah, from Laurel. So you can click on that as well. So good. Thank you for that. Yes. And you'll notice too that we do, Lauren, we do Workday Wednesday that our board member, Francis, puts there every Wednesday. And so you'll see people listing their kite camps, their kite trips, their kite gear just for women. So that's kind of a cool thing on Wednesdays to check in and see what's there. But there's also women, like Jalou said, asking questions, getting feedback from other women. So it's a great supportive place. All right. Monique from Canada, go ahead.
Hi there. Thanks. This is great. This is really fun. I'm wondering, Jalou, I'm a much older kiter, and I've been kiting, I guess, for maybe off and on 10 years. I love how you said get more time on the water. I'm thinking of retiring and just running away where I can ride all the time. I could finally progress a lot more because I didn't start till I was almost 50, I guess, kiting. So do you have any suggestions about training? Like, I know that probably core is important, but do you have like a training routine, or can you have suggestions for people in terms of training and what might be helpful for people? Because I think, for one, it probably helps our self-confidence in the sense that we feel stronger, and we might have shaky knees looking at certain conditions, but that we can have more kind of trust in our own bodies and our own beings when these kinds of challenges, and know that we're just as competent as kind of anybody else.
Well, first of all, great that you started kiting, and keep kiting. Yeah, for me, I never really did any specific training, and I have to say, like, from a kiting side, we didn't have the trainer, we didn't have the physio, we didn't have a team that traveled with us. So, like, I'm a very active person myself. And I just did all sorts of sports. I was very much into CrossFit, which made me feel really strong, and which was great for my legs. I think a very important thing is to keep your legs very strong, and especially your knees and the core. I think if you keep those things on track by doing like boot camp, like maybe twice a week, try to cycle a little bit, maybe even surfing to get your upper body fit. Also, if you're into wave riding, this is great to get more wave knowledge just by laying in the waves without actually having a kite. How comfortable are you really with these kind of conditions? Because perhaps you crash your kite, something snaps, and you're right in those waves. Are you going to panic, or are you going to be okay because you know it from surfing, and you're like, oh, okay, I know what's happening here. I'm just going to duck dive and I'm comfortable, and I know I can swim back to the beach. So this is all little things that you sometimes should think about also when you're heading out. Some people are just heading out so far, and just check in with yourself. Am I able to swim all this way back or not? And of course, you can go further out if you know there's people around that can save you. But just being fit in general is just something that is important when you're out on the ocean in heavy, but even in very gentle conditions. Anything can happen. So I would say, like, I don't know if you're into cycling or any.
Yeah, I've
go to the gym or yoga, or like even yoga, Pilates. I think that's also very good, because we quickly forget about those to stretch. I never stretched in my life, and then I started doing yoga, and I felt so much better. And I wish I already started like a while ago. So yeah, I'll definitely do a lot of stretching, and just those legs, work those legs. Like, strong legs are everything, especially when you're jumping, coming down with a lot of force on like a chop, or if you want to ride a wave and put a lot of aggression and power into your turns, you need those legs.
Thank you so much, Jan. It's funny because I've been wanting to learn how to surf. I don't live near any kind of, well, there's river waves, standing waves, and I've tried, but I like that idea of the surfing. I've been wanting to go on some surf camps just to get more familiar with that, because I prefer strapless. That's kind of my preferred riding. So, and I really would like to do waves. So thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Oh, cool. Good luck with that.
Thank you.
Looking forward to see you shred.
Thanks for that question, Monique. It was something I was also wondering, and I'm also started kiting in my 50s, and I'll be 58 next month. And I was just reading an article about even weightlifting, to build our muscles and bone strength. So for those hard crashes or hard landings, we're not breaking things or tearing muscles. So I'm getting back to weight training to help me with that respect. But thanks for all those tips. Yoga and Pilates, I need to get back to as well. Other thoughts or questions, and then we're going to pretty soon wrap it up, but we've got time for one more discussion or question. All right. I've got one. When is your documentary coming out, Jalou? And is there a title yet?
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. Well, the editor is busy at the moment working on it. I'm hoping to get it ready in summer, which is like June, July. And it's gonna be called, that's what we're thinking, Reconnect. And yeah, we just need a little bit more time for it. And we're also trying to kind of get it out on like a proper platform, like hoping for or Netflix or a Dutch television. We don't just want to put it on the web, because it's just all the work and the effort we put into it is just going to be like gone in like 2 days. So we are going to try to launch it big.
Oh, yay. I hope you'll keep us posted. And,
yes, for sure.
And maybe if you think about it, to post on our Facebook group for the collective. But we'd love to follow your success with that documentary. And I'm sure all the ladies here would love to watch it when it's all finished and ready.
Yeah, definitely hoping to do a big premiere once it's ready.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, Sue, go ahead. She has another thought for you.
Let me unmute there. Jalou, we missed you in Cape Town the last couple of seasons. And this season there were actually a bunch of women, like so many more women. Every time you went to the beach, there were dozens of women on the beach or in the water, or you're kiting. It was really good. Are you planning to come back next summer? Well, your winter? And if you do, would you consider doing a women's surf camp?
Good question. I was actually saying yes, I will be. I will come back this season. I choose not to, but yeah, I am thinking of coming. I won't guarantee, but if I'm going, I would also do some girls camps, because I think it's the perfect location. You know, I can do like maybe a 2-3 day camp for girls, just jumping in, because it's just so easy and so many people come and visit. And yeah, it's definitely something I'm going to be thinking about. And I'll let you know if you follow me on Instagram. I'm sure I will be posting it way in advance and people can sign up. So yeah, it will be something I'm thinking about.
I'd like to improve my backside wave riding for sure.
Ooh, awesome. Nice. I'll be happy to help you with that.
Thank you for that.
Thanks, Jalou.
And speaking of camps and travels, I'd love to share with you what Jalou has planned coming up. So let me share with you her 2 camps that look amazing. So take a look here at the visuals. Jalou, you want to tell us a little bit about this one, Ladies Pro Camp?
Yes, this is the first one coming up in May. I'm doing together with my friend Katarina. She's from Sweden. We've been living together for quite some time, and we just have the best time when we're doing those camps together. Also, it's just a really nice way of working. Fuerteventura, I've been there multiple times. It's set up for not complete beginners. It's more like the intermediate to advanced rider that is comfortable or is independent with going in and out of the water, staying upwind, have some experience on the ocean, on the waves. And we do really want to focus on riding waves or getting you more comfortable on a waveboard. And this will include 5 days of coaching from both Katrina and myself. You'll be staying in a super nice hotel, and we're actually dropping a discount on this camp as well. A last minute discount, which we are gonna promote in the next days. So keep an eye out for that. You can check that on my Instagram page, Jalou Langeree, and I will be sharing a link over there, which leads you straight to the website where you can find all further information.
Great.
So yeah, that's
great.
For,
and Jalou, where's this located?
Oh, it's in Fuerteventura, it's the Canary Islands.
Oh, how wonderful.
Spain.
In the Canary Islands of Spain. Man, I want to go just because it's in Spain and you're doing it. That's awesome. Wow, I'm going to have to look at my calendar for May. Maybe that'll be a birthday present to me for my 58th in May. Yes, I love it. Okay, and also, go ahead.
Oh, and another thing we are planning to do for the Fuerte camp is working together with a sports psychologist. Sorry, it's a mouthful. She will be joining us on a Zoom call just to for you to work on some blockages already before coming to the camp.
Wow.
And during the camp. Plus you even have like a 30 minutes private call with her. So we can work on some specific things that are keeping you back from learning new things, or things you're scared of, or things we can't influence but are a thing in your head.
Wow.
So
That's
yeah, this
awesome.
makes it extra interesting. It's also, I'm thinking like, how can we spice up the camps and make it even better? And I think this might be a step towards diving deeper into the coaching material.
I love that one-on-one coaching and so personalized. And Anne asked, is this kite only kite surfing, or is twin tips welcome too?
Yeah, it is focused on wave riding. So we will try to find waves. You are more than welcome to come on your twin tip, but don't expect the perfect flat water for twin tipping. So if you're fine with riding at a wave spot on a twin tip, you're welcome to join us for sure. And I'm happy to help you improve your twin tip skills as well. And there might be some days where there's no wind, and then we're gonna be riding at a spot where it's quite good for freestyle as well.
Perfect. Okay.
So
well
we have the options. Yeah.
Awesome. And you also are really into biking. Can you tell us about your June camp in Sweden?
Yes, this is the very first biking kite, which I'm doing in Sweden together with Michelle. She's a semi-pro biker. And yeah, it's the first time we're doing this. It's all about, the plan is to be biking 2 days with an overnight in the forest, and where we do like a campfire and food around the campfire, and sleep in tents and hammocks, where we cycle again the next day. So we do ask you to have a little bit of cycle experience, because we are looking at covering 60 to 80 kilometers a day. If you do have the fitness, but maybe not for that amount, there's also some e-bikes that we can use. And the rest of the days we are returning to the villa, because it's called Villa Surf Garden, where we will be pampered nicely. There is a jacuzzi there and a sauna. We have bikes that we can take with board racks to the beach. It's only like a 5-minute or 3-minute bike ride to a spot where it's perfect for beginners and intermediate riders. So this is for the people that are still in their basics, or in the intermediate, or wanting to get on a surfboard or a twin tip. All levels are welcome on this camp.
Oh, nice. That sounds amazing. I love how you're combining kiting and biking. So I wouldn't have to bring or ship my Yeti to Sweden. I could just rent a bike there?
Exactly. The bikes are all included into the price.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Awesome, awesome. Well, let's give Jalou a big round of applause for all the great things she shared with us, 3 things she learned in kiting over 20 years, and then all the great tips she gave us in the last so many minutes with your Q&A. Thank you so very much for joining us. And we're just so proud of you and your success. And you've inspired us so much, not only as women kiters, but as women. And so that is wonderful. Thank you. Again, I want to just remind you, ladies, that we just finished with Jalou Langeree for this talk today. But next month, we have Kite Pro Suke, who's actually here today and has been talking with us. So thanks for joining. And June 1st, we have Michaela Pinkerton, Kite Pro as well. And we also are looking for any suggestions that you have for us to fill our schedule for the last half of the year. So if you have any ideas of women kiters you'd love to hear from, you can drop that in the chat, or you can drop it on our Facebook group for Women's Kiteboarding Collective. So be sure and do that. We want to hear from you. And also don't forget that our very own Frances Rivera is putting Workday Wednesdays out there every Wednesday on our Facebook group. If you have any business that's kiting related that you want to share, links, blogs, videos, anything you're creating that you want to share with us women kiters, please feel free to do that on Workday Wednesday posts on Facebook. And remember, we are your board. I'm Holly, your board president, and we've got Laurel, Margaret, Frances, Nicole, all amazing women kiters. Please consider volunteering your time to help our mission in supporting women. Only 4 hours a month. If you're interested, just drop us a line. We'd love to have you. And last but not least, please encourage, support, and celebrate one another through kiting. I want to wish you a wonderful day and great wins to you for your next kiting adventures. Thanks everyone for being here. Hope to see you next month for Sue K. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye. Thank you, Jalou. Bye.
Bye all.